Jason's going to talk about this Paige business. Oh boy, this is going to be good.
Okay, let's talk about the Paige situation.
Here we go.
Oh, Paige. Private photos, videos, stolen from her phone or from the cloud or wherever these things are stored now, and leaked on the internet. And the reaction was nothing short of embarrassing. And I'm not just talking about our Facebook group, although it was very embarrassing. But people went out of their minds. They lost their minds because this stuff leaked, and it was there for the world to see, and it made for a very embarrassing situation. Now, these images and videos seemingly were shot years ago when she was still the NXT Women's Champion, so that probably goes back about, 3 or 4 years. She is on camera in sexually explicit positions, doing sexually explicit things.
Woo!
In some cases with other people, including Brad Maddox, my karaoke buddy. Brad Maddox. You know that photo I took with him at that bar? That was over WrestleMania 31 weekend out in California. That was after all of this stuff happened. I don't remember if we shook hands or not. I hope not. But Brad Maddox is one thing. You know, Brad Maddox was fired a while ago. Ironically, he was fired for using the phrase "cocky pricks."
He's been gone.
In front of the live crowd. There's a certain degree of irony to that.
He's been gone.
But he doesn't work for the company anymore. So in a way, it's like, all right, Brad Maddox, who cares? He doesn't work there anymore. The other person on film is Xavier Woods, one of the members of the New Day, who happened to be hosting WrestleMania this year. There is one video that shows Paige in an intergender handicap tag team match with both Brad Maddox and Xavier Woods. I don't know what her relationship status was at that time. She may have been single. Xavier Woods, I believe, may have been in a relationship. I know now he's married. He's got his first kid coming in May. He's got a kid on the way. His wife has a bun in the oven. So for him, this is just a terrible situation.
That's bad business.
Terrible timing.
That's bad business.
Like I said, he's also supposed to be hosting WrestleMania with the rest of New Day. Now, I don't think this changes any of that. And all of this talk about, well, maybe they'll hold him off Raw tomorrow night because Raw is in Brooklyn. It's like, yeah, and they're in Philadelphia the following week. What are they supposed to do? Just keep him off television until WrestleMania? I mean, that's ridiculous. What makes Brooklyn so much worse than Philadelphia?
They're gonna. Yeah.
I take offense to that. I would just say, you know what?
Pick.
If you want to,
you know, New York is gonna pick at you.
Situation,
they're gonna pick at
just
you.
Put him in another one of those New Day Talks segments backstage, like the one they did on Raw last Monday. They could just cut the crowd noise out. The only problem with that is that segment sucked. That segment was absolutely horrendous, and I don't ever want to see another one of those again. But they may have no choice. So, I mean, keeping him off the show because it's Brooklyn is just stupid. That's a stupid thing to say. There's going to be chants, there's going to be signs this week, next week, and probably for many weeks to come. Just deal with it, because it ain't going away.
They're going to be sweating it.
As far as all this other stuff is concerned, look, there's a lot of people who are passing judgment on Paige. What is Paige now, 23, 24? She was probably around 20 or 21 when this all went down. Fact is, young people have sex. That's what they do. I don't begrudge her for it. I hope she has lots and lots of sex. There's nothing wrong with it. And the fact that a bunch of people from WWE are coming around shouldn't come as a shock to anyone. These people are like the traveling circus. They see each other more than they see their actual families or their spouses. What do you think goes on behind closed doors? And if you don't think this stuff happens more often, then you're being naive. Look at last year's Olympics. Last year's Olympics in Rio. There were tons of stories on all of the sex that happens in the Olympic Village. The Brazilian government handed out something like 450,000 condoms to all the athletes.
Whoa.
And I think it said, like in the article, that breaks down to something like 40 condoms per person.
Wow.
That's a lot of sex. Imagine doing that and then running in the 50-meter dash the next day. If that were me, I wouldn't be able to move. I wouldn't have any feeling from my waist down. People have sex. That's the
Solomonster
is a gross invasion of privacy. This was not of her own doing. These were stolen. These were intentionally leaked to harm her and defame her and embarrass her. And I know there's going to be people who say, well, how is this any different from Seth Rollins' dick pics? How is this any different from Tom Phillips' text messages? Which was also very embarrassing. Both of those things were very embarrassing to both of those people. But there are some differences. Those guys were engaged to be married, I believe, when that stuff happened. In one case, it was the fiancé who actually, leaked it, I think. And that doesn't make it right, I'm just saying. But you run that risk. When you do stuff like that, you are taking a risk. And in the case of Tom Phillips, it was the other person who outed him, not his girlfriend or his fiancé or whatever. And, again, he was doing something that he should not have been doing. It's a risk. Still a privacy issue. I'm not saying it makes it right. I'm not condoning it. But the circumstances were different. And this also, what sucks about this, as compared to any of those other situations, is that we're not just talking about one person here. Potentially, this harms multiple people. Okay, we're not talking about just one person here. This could have implications and consequences for more than one person. And here's the other thing, by the way, on the Tom Phillips stuff. People have been asking, like, do I think Paige should be fired for what happened? The answer is no. It's not her fault. She's the victim in all this. She did nothing wrong here. Except, there is a photo going around of her with the old NXT Women's Championship belt. And suffice to say, the title is being tainted. I'll leave the rest up to your imagination. Really just disgusting, really inappropriate, because that's company property. That is a really stupid thing to do. To damage company property like that and to record it. That was really, really stupid. And I think if there's anything that she could be fired for, and maybe should be fired for, that's it right there. You can't be doing that. That's company property that gets passed around from person to person, like an STD. People have kissed that thing. They put their mouth on it.
Oh, come on.
So I think if she should be fired for anything, it's that. But that brings me back to Tom Phillips and the issue of company property. Now, I don't know that this was ever confirmed. I'm not saying it was. But there were rumors that he may have been reprimanded by the company for what happened. Obviously, they didn't take him off TV. They didn't fire him. They didn't suspend him. But that maybe they yelled at him or reprimanded him in some way. It probably was just an admonishment. I don't know that they docked him pay or anything like that. And I mean, hell, he was the lead announcer on SmackDown this week. So Tom Phillips seems to be doing okay. But he may have been sexting with that woman who was not his fiancée using a company-issued phone. Or at least on occasion, he would use maybe a company-issued phone. Again, I don't know that was ever confirmed. I don't even know if he has a company-issued phone. I don't know that for sure. But that's some of the stories that were going around. And it raises the issue of a double standard, which WWE has to be very, very careful with here, because unlike all these other situations now, you're not dealing with a dude, you're dealing with a woman. And so WWE has to be very careful here that, if they don't punish any of these other people, but they punish her, that's not going to wear very well. But the fact is, look, if I got caught exchanging sexually explicit messages using a company-issued iPhone, I'd be in a lot of trouble. I probably would be out of a job. So for her, that's the only real issue that I see. Again, it goes back to the belt and what was going on there, and yeah, I mean, they're probably within their right to do that, and it would be hard to argue against something like that because there's no justification for that. That's just ridiculous. They could absolutely do it. She's already got 2 wellness strikes against her. She's been popping up backstage at all kinds of shows for other promotions. She was backstage at the TNA tapings with Del Rio. She's been spotted backstage at other wrestling shows, which is probably in violation of her contract. You're not allowed to do that if you're under a WWE contract. It would be very easy for them to see something like that kind of image, and say, you know what, we're going to wash our hands of her. There's a lot of people who probably should be washing their hands right now. The last time someone under WWE contract had sex tape
Jason.
they severed all ties with him, and that was Hulk Hogan. Also, footage was leaked without the person's consent, and then it was posted online. Similar circumstances. It wasn't right then, and it's not right now. And I was happy. And I said as much on the podcast. I was very happy. I was like, when Hulk Hogan filed that lawsuit against Gawker, I was like, I hope he goes all the way and he wins the whole thing. I was happy when he won that case against Gawker and he bankrupted their asses. Good. They got what they deserved. But he was also caught on that tape saying a lot of racist stuff, which, I mean, from a PR standpoint, if you're WWE, and this guy
what the hell are you doing?
Wrestler, he's basically a spokesperson for your company. I mean, let's be honest here. That was the role that Hogan was in. He was a representative, a spokesman, essentially, for the company. He wasn't so much a performer anymore. I mean, he'd come out and pose, but, you know, you have somebody in that position, and it doesn't matter if the tape is a year old, 8 years old, 15 years old. You know, he said a lot of offensive stuff on that tape. It was wrong that it got leaked, but it got out. And so WWE did what they felt they had to do. I don't begrudge them for that. I think I would have made the same decision if I were working in their PR department and the decision came on me. The guy was toxic. You got to get rid of him. Get rid of him for a few years, and eventually you bring him back. I mean, I said it. It was inevitable that Hogan was going to be back. Now, I don't know if any of this stuff changes, the whole Hogan thing, because I was expecting Hogan to be at WrestleMania. I know he came out this week and denied. He said, I'm not going to be at WrestleMania. I don't buy it. I mean, he'll be in Orlando. I don't buy that he's not going to be at WrestleMania. And maybe after this, he won't be. Maybe now they're going to get cold feet and they're going to hold his return off for a while. I don't know. But I fully expected him to be there. You know, he paid his penance. Enough time has gone by. And I'm perfectly fine with them, bringing him back and doing stuff with Hulk Hogan. But they had to get rid of him. Now, in this case, I'm not aware of there being any racially offensive comments on these Paige videos. Some of you would know better than me. I don't even know how many videos are out there. There's at least 3 of them. So again, the fact that they leaked is no reason to punish her. The whole desecrating company property thing probably is, but I'm not even sure that it's worth it. It won't look good for them to punish her, but not punish all the other people. And unfortunately, this is the world we live in now, and I think it's time that WWE comes up with a definitive policy when it comes to this kind of stuff, in writing, that they could point to. So there's no ambiguity going forward about how to handle these situations. It's not always one size fits all. You know, you gotta evaluate each situation on its own merits and then decide what the right punishment is or isn't. But it's going to happen again. I guarantee you, 100%. This will happen again.
Probably.
And they need to be prepared for when it does. My guess, if you want to know what I think ends up happening, I don't think anything happens. I think everybody survives, and hopefully they catch the person who leaked this, and that person is punished accordingly and to the fullest extent of the law. Because whenever something like this happens, I just say, I imagine myself in their position. I don't have stuff like that floating around, because to me, look, it's just my personal opinion. I think it's too much of a risk. I can't ever imagine doing stuff like that and keeping stuff on my phone or in the cloud or on the computer or anything like that. Okay? I'm sorry to let everybody down, but you're not going to find any Solomonsters stuff out there like that.
I don't know about that.
Again, I have friends and I know people who have girlfriends and wives, and when they're at work, they text each other, images and stuff. I'm not saying that it's wrong. I can understand why they do it. I know a lot of that stuff goes on. But as long as you understand, now this really more applies to when you're a celebrity and you're in the public eye. My friend isn't a celebrity and nobody gives a shit about what he and his wife do, but the fact is, Paige is in the public eye. She's got 1 million+ followers on Twitter. She's got a lot of very sick people who follow. You got to see some of these women, the people who follow them, the creepy people. It's scary. Some of them get stalked. I mean, when you're in the public eye, this is the kind of stuff that you have to deal with. And if you're going to put stuff like that out there, even if you think it's private, I think a good notion to go by, I think that our FBI director just said this the other day. Comey just said this a few weeks ago, that basically there is no such thing as privacy. It's the illusion of privacy. Privacy really doesn't exist anymore. You may think it does, but it really doesn't. And so if you operate under that assumption, then maybe you might think twice before recording stuff like that, or if you're going to, maybe after 6 months or a year, might be a good idea to scrub that and get rid of it. Again, this stuff goes back a few years. Nothing good can come from that kind of stuff just sitting around, because there's always going to be people who are looking to do bad things. So I guess the lesson in all this is just be smarter about it. If you're in the public eye, you have to accept the fact that people get hacked, right? Emma Watson was another one, I think, this week. They said she got hacked, and a lot of celebrities have been hacked. If you're a celebrity, you've got to do what needs to be done to protect yourself. And like I said, hopefully the person who did this gets caught and they get punished.
They're going to rip him a new one, whoever it is.